What's going on, guys? Another week in the books. It was a travel week. It was Cannoli Prom / Royale Triple X release party that is available for pre-order. I'll make sure to put a link down below for anybody who wants to check it out because it is a special pre-order price. It goes up 25 bucks after the pre-order. But interesting week. Interesting week of fragrance selections. Got my fair share of compliments this week, and you'll see why when you see some of the fragrances I wore. A lot of mass peeling stuff. Couple things that were a little on the challenging side, like what I wore to the actual event, was the most daring fragrance of the week, but like 90% of what I wore, just crowd pleasing, fantastic. So, shouldn't come as a surprise. It's week number 174, so stay tuned. Starting off on Sunday, I've featured this one a few times recently, and it got me in the mood to wear it. We're talking about Yves Saint Laurent Y Eau de Parfum. Modern classic at this point. Most people enjoy it. Not everybody likes every fragrance. But this is such a great fragrance. It's a very sweet, bright apple. You don't get all the aldehydes of the Le Parfum and mainly the Eau de Toilette. You get a little bit of that feel at the top, but it's toned back greatly because of the scent profile and the oils being enriched. But it's some good stuff. Like I said, crisp green apple has that musky, almost aquatic-like musk ambergris combo. Bright, fresh, spicy, and aromatic sage kind of dominates the heart of this fragrance. I believe there's a little bit of ginger in here, if I remember correctly, that adds kind of that crisp, fresh, spicy tone to this one. Monster performer. Beast of a fragrance. Easy to grab, people. Very, very easy. Chemically synthetic and cheap smelling up close. Sure, if you're sniffing like this, yeah, it smells like a cheaper smelling fragrance, even though it's not cheap. Not that cheap, anyways. But out in the air, beautiful, magical sillage, has the ability to captivate. Very crowd-pleasing type of stuff, and nothing short of a great smelling fragrance. I like all of the fragrances in the line, and this is most people's favorite, and I can see why. And some of you watching, you know exactly why, because you probably have it, and it's probably your favorite. During the day, YSLY EDP. Then we got the shower. A combination of two fragrances is how I'd like to relate this one. Unfortunately, that we'll show you in a second. It smells like Chrome mixed with Versace Man Eau Fresh. Azarro Chrome Sport. Wife loves this fragrance. It'd been a while since I wore it. I figured I'd wear it, but this has officially broken and messed up. So it's kind of a challenge to keep it in place and see what it wants to pop up every time you even touch it, so I can still spray it. Beautiful stuff though. Sharp metallic chrome smell with a bunch of fresh, watery citrus, musky tone that you would relate to Versace Man Eau Fresh. This very much smells like a balance of the two. I did a review on this one a few years ago. Still feel the same way about it. It's still one of the better fragrances you can get in the sub $30 price point because it brings the best of both worlds when it comes to pretty much all-time great freshies that are just crowd pleasers. Great to wear, pull compliments, work in any situation. Versace Man Eau Fresh and Azarro Chrome. You really can't go wrong here. Kind of a forgotten flanker, to be honest with you. Out the shower, Azarro Chrome Sport. Moving on to Monday, keeping with the fresh theme, this is one that it's been a few weeks since I wore it. This got a lot of smoke on the internet and a lot of praise. Very polarizing scent because they came out of nowhere with it. Same kind of thing happened with Blue Atlas with Atlantis because it's a men's grooming company that came out of nowhere with the fragrance. We're talking about Particle for Men. This is Gravite. So very much like almost like a Sauvage Cool Spray in some ways. Not too hefty on the Ambroxan. Definitely more on the fresh, spicy side. A lot of bright citrus. Very shower gel-esque. But very peppery, fresh, spicy at the same time. Like I was saying, it doesn't smell like an Ambroxan bomb. I wouldn't relate it directly to Sauvage. The reason I gave that example is think freshness of a modern blue on that level, because that's the freshest version of Sauvage. This is good stuff. Again, wife, big fan of this one. I actually quite enjoy it. Now, with the marketing, they say like 10 or 12 hours or something in longevity. I'm not saying there's nobody out there that gets that. I damn sure don't. I get like 6 hours, which, cool. It's not super expensive. It's like $80 before the 20% off codes that are all over the place. So, for what you can get it for, I actually think it's a very fair market value for it. It's right in that $60 range, technically. Like 62, 72, 62 bucks. Yeah, 62 bucks, something like that, whatever. Mid to low 60s for 100 ml of this fragrance, and it's very crowd pleasing. It's more of a fragrance for the masses than it is for a fragrance enthusiast. This can be boring in a fragrance collection, but very useful and valuable and viable in a fragrance wardrobe. So that's where I think people aren't really giving it a break, and it gets some heat because it's like, yeah, you fragrance enthusiasts that post in fragrance forums and watch fragrance content and write reviews and stuff all the time, yeah, this might not be for all of you, but for the average consumer that's just interested in smelling good, looking for one, maybe two, maybe even three fragrances if they're feeling frisky, that special occasion fragrance. This is who that is for. This is for a fragrance wardrobe to just be that one fresh, crowd-pleasing fragrance that works for everything. It's good at that. It's not good at having a bunch of Amouage fragrances in your collection. Yeah, no, it's not marketed for that guy, but that guy can definitely enjoy it because I'm that guy. I have a bunch of those fragrances, and I really enjoy this one. So I don't know how easy it would be to get a sample, but if you can, try it because it's actually pretty good. Particle for Men, Gravite. Then we got the shower. What was the reason for this? Was it I was just in the mood for it? I don't remember. Another one, wife, big fan. And as am I. It's arguably the best smelling fragrance from the house. It's just because it doesn't perform super good. It gets a little bit of smoke. Zaharoff Signature Citrine. If you like freshies, this is the best Zaharoff fragrance out there. It's a beautiful fresh fragrance. Very lime orange type of smell. Sweet orange, if you will. The incense really comes out on my skin. A lot of orientals and resins still in the heart of this fragrance, the core, because it's built around the signature Prom DNA, which is a very oriental fragrance. So you get a lot of that. It's a true freshie with some depth to it. Gorgeous scent profile. Nice and somewhat salty, but not quite aquatic. I believe it's sea amber is the note technically. It does have that warm amber smell to it. Like I said, the incense kind of pops and comes out pretty good on my skin. That beautiful smoky resin. And it's pretty much that simplistic on my skin. You get kind of a smoky citrus smell. I do anyways. Some woods, some resins, some amber, little bit of herbs, but overall just a gorgeous sillage. When I wear this one, I can't stop smelling myself. Now, admittedly, if I'm wearing it around the house like I did for this wearing out the shower, yeah, after about 30 minutes to an hour, it's much more difficult to smell because it's much closer to the skin. But if you're going to do things where you're going to heat up, that's been my experience, the sillage will get to pumping. And it lasts every bit of like 7 hours on my skin. So pretty soon it'll be going away from the U.S. market and be European exclusive only when the stock runs out. And based on the conversation I had this past weekend, stock's pretty damn low. So get a sample and try it just so you can see if it's for you before it's gone from the U.S. market forever. Out the shower, Zaharoff Signature Citrine. Moving into Tuesday, there's an argument for this being my best smelling day. 2 all-time great fresh fragrances when it comes to getting compliments in my experience and just favorite wearings. Like the wearability on these is top tier in my opinion. Starting with during the day was Prada Rossa Carbon. You want to talk all-time greats? I'll argue with anybody. Superior to Sauvage. I've always believed it to be. I actually did a battle between the two. And this took it down. Now, granted, that's my opinion. There's others that will say it the other way around with it. I know there's a lot of people that agree with me on this one. Because it's the difference maker is the lavender here. Because the way Prada does lavender, it's a very soapy, clean, luxurious, elegant smelling type of. It's like it smells expensive for being a designer fragrance. If Sauvage could smell expensive, it would be Prada Rossa Carbon. You know. Doesn't have that screechiness. It's a much smoother fragrance, very well rounded. Still has the ambroxan and the bergamot. The spices are there. It has kind of these earthier tones, but it never gets away from being a clean fragrance. Overall, easy to go nosmic to. Nose blind, quick, fast, and in a hurry in my experience. But after a few hours, your nose it'll get a little weaker on your skin and your nose can kind of come back to life and you'll start smelling it pretty easily on yourself again. This one well above 7 to 8 hours in longevity on my skin. That's usually about the point to where my nose comes back to life and I can smell it again, because after about 2 hours my nose gets pretty worn out, hour and a half, 2 hours, because it's pretty strong up to that stage on my skin. Great compliment getter, all-time great compliment getter in my experience for me personally, and for others out there I'm sure that's the case, but versatility is next level. It's not as affordable as it used to be. I've seen it recently from some discount sites, and it's not $50, $50-$60 like it used to be. Now it's more 75 to 100 range, which, believe it or not, I still think is the way to go over Sauvage at that point, but you have to make that judgment for yourself, because the first time I tried it, I had a sample, because they come in these little pouches. The sample vial comes in. It's not a carded sample from Prada, so it wasn't a blind buy for me. So maybe get one of those samples, try it for yourself, see how you feel about it, because you might need to add this one to your collection, because like I said, it's an all-time great when it comes to great wearing experience, versatility, crowd-pleasing compliment magnet. That is one of the best ways to describe Luna Rossa Carbon from Prada. We got the shower, one of my favorite cheap freshies I've ever bought. It's just an enjoyable wear for me personally. It's not one that I've gotten a ton of compliments from. A few here and there. Wife's a big fan, of course. Like most of this week, the wife was big. We'll get to the one she doesn't like in a little bit. At all. Does not like it. But with this one, I got it a few years ago, and I've never not enjoyed it every time I wear it. I kind of wear it exclusively when it's warm outside. It's Cool Water Wave from Davidoff. I love this stuff. This is kind of like Davidoff's take on Invictus Aqua. Much more Sichuan pepper heavy than anything else. Juniper provides some nice aromatics to it, but it's a very watery, aquatic fragrance. In some ways, this is a more enjoyable scent profile than Invictus Aqua 2016, because that's what it smells closest to. But it can't touch Invictus Aqua 2016 in performance. It's like 5 hours at best in longevity. You can bathe in it. I always do 10 to 15 sprays when I wear this one. Now around the house, out the shower, 5 or 6 sprays, which is still typically more than I spray out the shower, because after an hour it sits pretty close to the skin. But you want to talk about such an invigorating scent. This is lively. This brightens your mood. This is one of those mood boosting fragrances for me. That's why it's got a special place in my collection and in my heart. Big fan of this one. I contemplate all the time getting a 200 ml just so I'll have a big bottle sitting there for one day when I need it, because one day I'm sure it'll get discontinued, and before that happens, or right around the time it happens at the minimum, I'll get a big 200 ml bottle, because I always want to have sprays of this one. Granted, it's going to take me a long time to go through this 4.2, but you can see the dent progresses from year to year, because I exclusively wear it when it warms up. But one of my faves, Davidoff Cool Water Wave. Moving into Wednesday, with this one during the day, I didn't realize how polarizing it was until I posted Scent of the Day posts. Most people, the overall consensus, big fans, but there's some that say bug spray and gives me a headache. There's a few like intriguing comments about this fragrance. I mean, everybody has a different experience. I understand that. I'm not knocking it. It was just interesting when it came to John Varvatos Artisan Pure. This is a beautiful fragrance. It's kind of a slight sour, more rind-oriented type of citrus smell. Very green and herbal. I think that's one of the things that can kind of throw people off, is the green aspects to it, because you may not expect it. When you see the note breakdown, you may not realize how overwhelming the green heart of this fragrance can really be. It's not quite the freshie that it's been marketed as over the years on YouTube. You know, I mean, it's a freshie, but it's not just some super citrus bomb or anything like that. Like, there's herbaceous spice to this fragrance at its core, and it's a variety of green spices for sure. That's the thing I love about it, to be honest with you. I absolutely adore the way this one smells, and it's one of the better performing Varvatos fragrances, let alone one of the fresh Varvatos fragrances. It's like a six-ish hour fragrance on my skin. I've even clocked it at 8 hours before it became a faint skin scent. But typically it's around 6 hours, which, any of you familiar with the house, that's impressive for this house, because even their heavier scents in the past, it was like 3 or 4 hours. So this was pretty impressive from this. Big fan of this one, always have been. I like a lot of the fragrances from the house. Very underrated at this stage. They had hype a few years ago. This one had tons of hype a few years ago. But the hype kind of killed over, and I think there's buyer's remorse from some that bought into just hype without, getting out and sampling it. But then again, there's those that are super happy to have it in their collection, and that's the case with me. I haven't worn it in a while. I saw it there. I said, throw this in the rotation. This is fantastic. The wife's indifferent about this one, just to give you guys a heads up. She doesn't like it, doesn't hate it. She was just kind of, it's okay. She was kind of lukewarm, middle of the road with it. But for me personally, I love it. I think for what it is, it's on the more unique side when it comes to freshies, especially affordable freshies. Just good stuff. Definitely get your nose on it during the day. John Varvatos Artisan Pure. When I got out the shower, I was feeling classic. Had a good shave and went with Aqua Velva Classic Ice Blue. And then it doesn't stop there. The fun doesn't stop there. I went with 3 sprays, way more than I needed of Quorum, because this is monstrous on my skin. Super spicy aromatics, barbershop smell. Big fan of this one. And of course, all the vintage hungry guys come out the woodworks when you show something like this on social media. Oh, it's not like this. Oh, I got a bottle from '05. I got a bottle from '89. I got a bottle from '92. Whatever. Oh, I missed it. Do you have? Is that a Puig formulation? And which it is. And pre this and hear all that stuff when you post fragrances like this. So, and I get it, guys. They're teased their own. I really enjoy this one. Herbaceous, spicy, super aromatic barbershop smell. A lot of greens and spices here. This is classic masculine powerhouse. 80s powerhouse type of fragrances. Old man smell, as it'll get dubbed by most people under 30. You know, oh, it's overwhelming. This airspace. Good stuff. And this is a similar scent profile to it. That's why I kind of went this route. Like I said, I was feeling very classic, vintage, and nostalgic with my particular choice in scent profile for the evening. I don't remember what shave soap I had used, but I wanted classic barbershop smell, you know, spicy aromatics. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for that timeless scent profile, and this is 2 excellent examples of that particular timeless scent profile. Out the shower, had a good shave. The splash was Aqua Velva Classic Ice Blue and Quorum. Moving into Thursday was Travel Day. I just featured this in a video, and I was in the mood for it. And even at the... How many hours was it at this point when I saw Dan? Shout out to my man, Dan and Malik. 7 or 8 hours at this point. And he's like, man, I had smelled him, and we were talking about he was wearing Terre de Hermes Eau de Toilette. We were about to go to the gym. And that's the first thing we did when we landed. We got together, let's go hit the weights. Great workout partner, by the way. And he was like, man, whatever you're smelling smells super, super fresh, whatever you sprayed. So I told him, I was like, man, it's been like, and I looked at the time, it was like 7 or 8 hours. I went with Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Oh Intense. Still a monster on my skin, guys. I'm not joking when I say this stuff's a beast. And when I got all heated up, we trained back. We did a back workout. It was pumping. I could smell myself. Once I started heating up again, and we're talking 9 hours, 10 hours in, this stuff's a monster. It's such a monster, and it smells so good. It really does. Better in the air than directly off of skin like this. Just good stuff. And look, I know some people with some of these blue fragrances that have that cologne note, or the amber wood, or the synthetic ambergris, whatever does it to you guys' skin, where you get the rotten egg smell. I don't get that from any fragrance, so I feel for you guys, seriously, because that has to suck, because some of my favorite fragrances are fragrances that people have told me smell like rotten eggs on them. This being one of them, one of the main culprits. And this is some great stuff. This is one of, and I'm not overstating this when I say it, one of the best all-around fragrances in my collection. Because if you just like fresh and compliments interest you in any way, shape, or form, this has the performance to be year-round if you're just in the mood fresh. Even out in the snow when it feels like -4 outside. This is still good. This is great year-round. Monster for the summer, but great for every other season. During the day, just a monster in my opinion. Every sense of the word. Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Oh Intense. And then took a shower. We were all gathering to go to dinner. And I decided to go with Elysium Parfum Pour Homme from Roja Parfums. Yes, I did bring Elysium. So it was I guess, a way I would put this for the way the day went, iconic blue fragrance type of day. Because these are 2 of the biggest hype beast blue fragrances in the last 10 years. All time, really. Because when it comes to performance, likability, and compliment factor, kings of the mountain right here, guys, because this is very much a blue fragrance, and it's the Parfum. Don't tell me you don't get a good performance on this Parfum. Parfum Cologne, the blue bottle, you'll hear people complain about performance. Even then, I get decent performance, 6 to 8 hour range, pretty good projection for almost 2 hours. Never had any issues. But this, much higher oil concentration, the superior fragrance, the more expensive fragrance, but superior in every way, in scent, in performance, in likability, wearability, versatility, across the board. This is better than the blue bottle, but you're going to pay a premium for half of the juice because it's a 50 ml. But out the shower, then we went to dinner. I had Elysium Parfum Prom. So Friday, I actually went to the gym. We went to the gym in the morning. Didn't spray anything. We then went to IHOP, had a post-workout meal. Me, Stefan, and Dan. And then we ended up going to the Ross Dress for Less that was across the parking lot. Juan, Mark from Aussie Fragrance, Carla, his wife, and Brittany, Juan's wife, they were all in there already. I think Alex was in there too, Alex Fragrance. I think he was, yeah, him and his wife were there too. They were all out rack store hunting, so we ended up having a massive group hitting the rack store. And I remember Joey talking about this one a few days prior to me on stream, so I came across CK All. So I did a rack store video, picked it up, went to the room, sprayed it, ended up spraying it a bunch. And the next day I wore it too. We'll talk about it again for the next segment. You want to talk about underwhelmingly, like, it's disappointing how underrated this is. It's not underwhelming scent. Underwhelming was the wrong choice word. I was looking for underrated because this is good. This is really good. Better performer than the CK1 Summer Flankers. 4 or 5 hours is what I've experienced. I've worn it a couple of times now. Bright, zesty citrus, creamy white florals. Freesia, Lily of the Valley, jasmine, stuff like that. But I don't find it super feminine. It's loaded with white florals. Loaded. The color scheme is fitting because it's loaded with white florals. But it's also loaded with citrus. And it's a zesty citrus. That's the thing. This is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And I would buy it again and again. If I start knocking this fragrance down and get closer to a halfway point, I will get a 200 ml. Joey has a 200 ml. 30 bucks. I paid 20 for the 100 ml. Underrated stuff. This gives you everything that's likable about a CK1 Summer Flanker, which I like all of them. I'm going to get whatever they put out this year, too. The last handful of years, I've gotten the Summer Flankers. I really enjoy them. 2 to 3 hour fragrance at best. You get better performance and more depth overall with this fragrance. This could be kind of like the, I guess, higher oil concentration edition, even though they're all eau de toilettes, the ones I talked about, plus this performs better. It's stronger, it's brighter, it lasts longer, and it's deeper. This is underrated. I'm not saying everyone's going to enjoy this one, but you could do a lot worse rolling the dice on 20 bucks at a rack store on other things. I think you do pretty well. If you want to blind buy this one, I think this one's super blind buy safe. Really vibing with this one, the CK All. I really like it a lot. Then we went to dinner that night. So we went back, showered, got situated. We all went out for pizza that night. That was the pizza night. Massive party having pizza, by the way. And I went with this and I oversprayed it. And oh my God, was my CIs ridiculous. And then before we went out that night, I sprayed a few more sprays. But Mancera Tonka Cola. I'm in love with this fragrance. This is so good. This is so good. So good. Guys, this fragrance is a perfect example of try it for yourself. Don't take others' opinions completely to heart, because I've had people tell me they don't get the cherry at all. I've had people tell me that the flat cola smells boring to them, and I like carbonation in my colas. Some of you watching this, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not knocking you guys. Everybody's experience is different. But for me, smoky, spicy black cherry at the top. And I get the cherry for like 2 to 3 hours before it kind of fades and I don't notice it anymore. Soft and powdery tonka bean, vanilla type of smell. The cola here, like I said, flat Coca-Cola mixed in with spicy, smoky cherry. I did a full review on this one already. I've worn it a few times now. I'm so in love with this fragrance. Get a sample and try this one. Everything about this one's desirable. Got a few compliments because I oversprayed it. 9 sprays is too much. The way this performs, typically I would do 4, maybe 5. You can get away with 3 easily. This is a beast on my skin. I did 9. 5 around the neck, 2 on the top of each forearm. And we went out. Immediately when I walked up, they all smelled me and we had a conversation about what I was wearing. This stuff is a monster. It smells gorgeous. This is a great release for the house. Kudos, Pierre Montal. I love this fragrance. The good folks at Twisted Lily sent it my way so I could review it. I'm so glad I have a bottle of this now. I'm so glad I have a bottle of this now. This is fantastic. This is immediately, no matter what, in my top 5 Manceras. And I have in the teens of bottles at this point, and I have a few more coming. I have Lemon Lime, So Blue, Lemon Lime, and I want to say I ordered Sicily as well. I'm trying to remember if I did or not. I might have took it out of my cart, but I got a bunch of Manceras, and this is at minimum in the top 5, possibly the top 3, because it's great. It's fantastic. Get your nose on this one, sample this one. You may not love it the way I do, but just try it. You never know. Mancera Tonka Cola. Magnificent. Finally, on Saturday, it was a party day. It was time for the event. And, of course, we hit the weights again. And all 3 days, we hit the weights. The first day, it was just me and Dan. The second and third day, it was me, Dan, and Stefan. And we had some good workouts. We did back, then we did shoulders and traps, then we did arms, bis, and tris. So it was nice to get some workouts in. I normally don't have too many training partners, but it was nice to work out with the fellas. Shout outs to my guys. But during the day, I went with CK All again. I was enjoying it so damn much. I figured, why not? We're going to spray it again, too. Beautiful. I said everything in the previous segment. Zesty citrus, creamy white florals, and it's not super powdery. I just don't understand what's not to like about this. Again, not everybody's going to like it. Just like with every fragrance in this video, every fragrance in general, not everybody's going to like it. But I'm a big fan of it, and I think it's completely blind buy safe. If you've ever liked CK1 or any of the summer flankers, this is kind of a combination of the two, somewhere in the middle, and probably the best performer out of all of the ones I've named, without being a great performer. The rest are just on the weaker side of performance. But so don't go into this thinking 6 or 8 hours. I mean, I'm not saying you can't get it, but I'm saying you probably won't. If you can go into this expectation with 3 to 5 hours, and you can appreciate, and you like how it smells, I think it's a win for $20. So during the day, again, with CK All from Calvin Klein. And then when I got out the shower, we got ready, got dressed. Have to wear a show out for a fragrance event, right? So I went with Amouage Overture Man. Why did I go with Overture Man? So remember how earlier I told you guys there's this one fragrance in the video my wife does not like at all? Here it is. So what that means, that makes it a bummer because it's already a special occasion fragrance. When I dub something a special occasion fragrance, I'm not going to wear it often. It's going to be a rare occasion. This is one of those. Then mix it in with my wife doesn't like how it smells, like at all. She doesn't think it's, she hasn't said stinks, but that's kind of how she treats it. She doesn't like it, which is disappointing because it's like, damn, now even for stuff I would consider a special occasion, I can't wear it if I'm with her. Well, she had to stay behind because of our blind and diabetic dog. That's why we never get to travel together. It's usually one goes or the other goes. Somebody's got to stay home with Farrah to give her shot every 12 hours and her meals and all this. There's a lot of care that goes into my poor old baby dog. So, with that said, it was actually the ideal situation to bring this. And I'm with a bunch of fragrance enthusiasts that can appreciate the scent profile. Because we had some conversations about this, especially Brian, my 2 cents. Shout out to Brian. He's like, oh, I've been smelling you all over the place. Because I oversprayed this one too. 7 sprays of this is ridiculous. And I think that's what I had on. Or was it 8? I did 4 around the neck. And 2, yeah, so I did 8 sprays of frickin' Overture Man. Any of you that have this or have smelled it, you know that's 2 people's worth of wearings of strong performance. Because 4 sprays is typically all I would want for this. And that's showing out with 4 sprays. It's a powerhouse. This is nuclear, guys. Oh, but it's so good. Spices, woods, resins. I believe there's some oud in here. I smell a little bit of that leathery. Like, there's just all these dark animalistic, smoky nuances to it. This is a daring fragrance. It's not for everybody. It's polarizing. Not for everybody, meaning my wife couldn't stand it. So we were cutting loose. It was a great, great night. I'll probably put some of the footage that I put on IG here on the screen. It was great to hang with everyone. Cannoli Mafia really is a family. You know, that's my people. That is my people. We had a wonderful, wonderful time hanging together every day, every night, every facet of the day, going to eat together, different groups breaking off, getting together in the end of the day, going work out. Like I had my little crew to go work out. We had our crew that would cut up at the hotel. We had the crew to go shopping at the rack stores. We had the crew that was eating together every night. It was just a great time, guys. And I'll always tie Overture Man to that now. The scent memory for Overture Man is, as it was dubbed, Cannoli Prom. Joey's idea. Leave it to Joey. Joey Cannoli. Shout outs to Joey. Goofy name? Sure. Great time? Beyond a great time. And it was also the launch of Royale XXX. If you want to see George's speech, I actually recorded it and put it up as a separate video on the channel. And then I actually stopped recording right before. So those of you familiar with Joey's stream about put it right there. We all did it together as a group. But I didn't know George was going to go into it So I had stopped recording already. So that part, I guess, was just for us. Other people got it recorded. But I know this was long-winded. We just had such a good time, guys. And smelling this makes me think of it immediately. Like I said, you tie these scent memories to special occasions in your life. That was a very, very special occasion, which makes this fragrance even more special now. So, and on top of that, I bought it from Unaverage Joe, my man, who was, of course, there, part of the Cannoli Mafia. So this is a Cannoli Mafia fragrance through and through for me. I bought it from somebody in the Mafia for a great, great price. Any of you familiar with Joey's streams, you put a 69 in the chat. I paid $69 for this from Joe for a tester. $69 I bought it for. Wore it to be with the Mafia. Bought it from the Mafia. Not a real Mafia, guys. Just a bunch of friends. But great, great evening. So I'll quit rambling. I know it's making the video very long. But, yeah. For the event, Overture Man. Well, that was this week's rotation, including the special event and trip that I took to Chicago with the Mafia. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What'd you guys wear this week? Those of you that were there and you're seeing this video, comment down below about the time you had. You all know who you are. It was about 30 to 40 of us. It was an intimate setting, but it was a great time. It was such a good time. And got many compliments throughout the week with what I wore. It was the right fragrance in the right situation all week long. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of the fragrances I wore this week and you give them a spray now, I'm extremely confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.